Hi, hello. No Donald Trump heart shot on the 19th. Okay, but again, it's just a rabbit hole of just continuing on dates. Because if you saw this incident, this complete BS incident of the mating ritual of two planes at the Idaho air show up there. Actually, it was at a military base up there, I think. Anyway, we're going to go through this. This happened on the 17th of May. Okay, and this ties into, believe it or not, this completely ties into, when I saw this, I was just like, oh my goodness. I mean, the first thing I thought is white wedding with these two mating in the air. The second thing I thought of was, again, back to the heart shot with our war game stuff. Okay, these are two fighter jets playing games in the air, war games. Okay, with the display. Anyway, I got a lot to get through on this one, and everything that I'm going to show you ties back in with the 519, all the 519 references that we were looking at. So it's just absolutely. I kind of wanted to wait till after today to do the video, to be quite honest, but there's so much stuff. I've already got so much stuff up in terms of number jumps and I don't know, theories, but connections to all this. I was like, I got to get rid of this now while it's fresh. Well, it's fairly fresh in my mind anyway. So, what led up to this? So I hadn't even heard about this until yesterday, and I was watching Quantum of Conscience, and he was talking about the ridiculousness. Matt was talking about the ridiculousness of the two planes colliding midair and just sort of coming together and sort of connecting up and then coming down and crashing. I mean, just completely. This is completely generated. Now how is it generated? By whom? By what? It's almost. I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but the thing not to miss here is the story that is being told. Okay, or what the sort of what's the meaning of this? And if you want to play the game like I do of decoding stuff, it's an entertaining game, and that's what I like to do. So I like to look at the meaning behind this thing and try and see what it's pointing towards, and yada yada yada. It's something to do. Okay, but yeah, the whole thing itself, um, completely fake, and thinking about whether it could be possible to happen. Well, it's always possible. Supernatural events are possible. They're what religious people call miracles. It takes an intervention from God. So who knows? Who knows what the hell happened here? Okay, whether it was God or whether it was man putting out some AI images or whatever, but there is some meaning behind it, or we can glean some meaning from it. Anyway, enough wiffle waffle. What I want to do is, so when I saw this immediately when Matt was showing this, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like the white wedding. This is like the mating ritual. These two planes, there's two jets right here that are together. Let's see if we can get a better shot of them. See, here's one plane underneath, and here's the plane on top. The mating ritual. Okay. So immediately I thought white wedding, and then as Matt played a little bit more of it as well, you see the two planes. This is them coming together, and as they come together, let's see if we can get to it. There's them up in the sky, and then they start falling down like this. And it reminded me of, let me draw on here. It reminded me of, like, here's the hands, here's the body, here's the head, and here's the legs. Okay, and the legs are on fire coincidentally right here, and this thing looks like a jumper from 9/11. Okay, as everybody ejects from the also there's 4 ejectees. Okay, there was 4 planes on 9/11, and there's 2 planes here doing the 9/11 ritual. So I also included that in one of my comments on Matt's video. This is a 9/11 ritual. Yeah, 2 becoming 1. 2 planes, 2 jets crashing. 2 jets crashing into the Twin Towers, and this actually forms like the jumper from the Twin Towers, and with the legs on fire like the Twin Towers were on fire. Okay, 2 becoming 1. It's a 9/11 reference, and I was scrolling through some of the comments, and also several other people picked up on the mating ritual thing, and also Matt and another guy did as well. I'll show you that comment because it's going to become relevant here in a minute, which has actually led me on to a little bit of this decode as well. Now, what else was I going to say about this? I lost my train of thought there for a second now. But anyway, this thing's coming down like 9/11. Oh yeah, somebody else in the comments had actually noticed that on the news, I think it was ABC News, or was it NBC? I think it might have been NBC actually. That this was. Let me get this off a second, so we can just look at why is this thing? Oh dear, Dan. Need a new computer. But somebody did notice that the news article that Matt was using, which is NBC, had 1.9 million subscribers, with the 9/11 reference in there as well. So this is, again, and if you go to iPet Goat, just very briefly, iPet Goat with the jumper here, okay, it just reminded me of that image in iPet Goat. And this guy later on actually has the kind of wingsuit on as well. Okay, so it's kind of interesting with how this thing looks like a guy with a wingsuit on flying down after taking a big jump. Right, how are we getting back? So we need to do some number jumps with this, and let me show you just very quickly Matt's little comment, because this will lead us on to something. So I put the 2 jets crashing in here. I got the white wedding reference, and the whole thing looking like a 9/11 ritual. And then Matt down here comment back to somebody else that says, looks like 2 birds mating. Okay, which again, I wasn't thinking necessarily of birds, I was just thinking of the planes mating like a white wedding ritual. Anyway, Matt actually puts down here hawks or eagles intertwined, circling together towards the ground. Yeah, like they were mating, right? Well, turns out that I've got this in here somewhere, that this is actually to do with I think a bald eagle here, but anyway, eagles spiraling courtship. They don't actually mate in the air, but they do this thing. Let me play a second of this so you can see. And look, before bald eagles go to mate, they do this. Look, I don't want to play too much and get a copyright in one go, but so this is before they mate. Intertwine. Look at this, circling towards the ground like those 2 planes, right? This is absolutely mental, because today's date is super duper to do with this whole thing with the heart shot and the dollar bill. Okay, and this is connected in with the quarter, the downward eagle. If you take a regular quarter coin and flip it around, you'll notice that Washington's on one side, and then when you flip it around, what you have is the diving eagle tails up on the other side. The upside down eagle is on the other side of the quarter. Yeah. Now remember, the numerology with the quarter is 25. Okay. 25. Right now we are at 251, and I will explain why that is significant with the dollar bill and the quarter and the dam and everything else. But we have this date coming up, and actually it was referenced by Donald Trump with the correspondence dinner. He said they would do that event again within 30 days. Now that event took place on 4/25. 30 days later is 5/25. Okay, I've got it in here somewhere. We'll come across it later. So 5/25 is another possible date, just based off this loose connections here, because it's a flip round 25. Oops, I just knocked my quarter off the side there. But that's what we've got, is this flip round date for 5/25, a palindromic 5/25 coming up, to do with flipping the quarter over, yeah, to do with this, what's going on here with this thing. Anyway, before we get onto all the number jumps, let me just remind you of what we were looking at with the 519 stuff. We had this connection with Gallagher, the old arcade game, computer game, and remember we were talking about Liam Gallagher, Noel Gallagher, Champagne Supernova, all the little connections back in with them and his birthdays to recent events, all tying in to right now in May, and we were just focusing in more on the 19th of May because it looked like a good possibility. Okay, but anyway, this is War Games. Remember, those two Navy jets were playing games in the air. Okay, not really war games, but they were doing a demonstration, but you can extrapolate out war games from what they were doing. Okay. Anyway, in this scene, this is the heart shot scene in where David here, or Matthew Broderick, is playing the game, and what we see is, let me just play a few seconds of this, but before we get way into it, I just want to remind people there's a 3377 here right at the start of this. Okay, now look, as he's playing the game, look what he's got. I've never played this game before, but well, I might have when I was very, very young, but what he's got two fighters joined together here. Okay, this is what was mind-blowing for me. He's got the two fighters joined together. See, he's doing double shots out of this. Two fighters joined together. Okay, and let me show you the heart shot bit. Hang on, I don't really want to play too much of it because this might well get a copyright. Okay, he's down to one fighter here. Two become one. Okay. Two become one. Oh, blimmin' hell, he's going to get... There's the heart shot coming up right now, right? Watch. So there's the heart shot. Right here. I don't know how the hell this can even work out, right? But right here is the heart shot. I'm actually guessing that when he's doing this, he's not actually... This reflection we're seeing is probably put in there later, I reckon. Okay, but I don't know, anyway. Here is the heart shot. Oh, damn, it's on the wrong side. Remember, this is the reflection. So this is on the correct side for the heart. Okay? Really, the heart's really actually more at the center of the body, but for whatever reason, we always think about it being on this side. Well, actually, it's on this side. If you were putting your hand on your heart, this would be the correct way around. Let's put it that way. So there's the heart shot. These numbers up here, remember when we started this scene was on 3377, and now it's on 3771. We've got numerology for Donald Trump's ear wound. And I'm not sure if during this little bit whether there is an actual explosion on top of the ear or not, or whatever. But there is the heart shot. Okay, so we're going to use that 377 stuff that's in here, but it's the fact that it's the little fighter planes. Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. The two little fighter planes. Yeah.
I've been thinking, a thing with my braid.
My thing with my braid. I hate to play too much of it.
I can't believe I'm so
But
stupid.
see if we can get to where it actually comes back on the screen with it. By the way, the password that they talk about there is pencil. See, it's down to one thing there. Okay. So anyway, two become one. Fighter planes, two become one. Okay. Gallagher in War Games, right? And the 3.7 references here. I mean, I probably need to do a bit more on this. I haven't got time. I haven't really got time to do this now, right? This is cutting into my day right now doing this. So, what else do we have that's going to connect in with this later? Oh dear, there's quite a bit. There's so much. Let's go. So, let's just jump off of this now and jump onto some number jumps and actually look at what actually happened. Because I was actually thinking it was the 18th originally, but this happened on the 17th. And so I put the number jump in, because it's obviously relating back to 9/11. I put the number jump in, and of course, here comes our 915 numerology here, okay, with our number jump through to 517. So there's a reference to 9015 days from 9/11. So we've got our 915 reference in this whole thing. It is also a 914 reference as well. So I'm like, okay, let's look if there's anything. This just happened to pop up again, right? So this is where actually the thing took place. And actually, let's go to the top. Mountain Home Air Force Base. Oh dear, Mountain Home. Okay, the Mountain Home. Phallic symbolism, the top of the mountain. Okay, and if you actually look at the runway here, again, the top of the mountain, the third eye, the Eye of Providence, the top of the pyramid right here. Yeah, Illuminati confirmed right there. And look, the garrison, this is what's stationed here, 366 Fighter Wing. 366 is really interesting because there is a film called 633 Squadron that is referenced in Back to the Future 2 in the Hoover Dam hoverboard scene, okay, and there's also an element of a fighter jet referenced in there with Griff's Pitbull hoverboard. It's like a missile getting fired, or like a fighter jet doing the what I call the trench run, okay. And what is interesting about this inversion of this number here, let's just whiz to it real quick. 633 Squadron. This has very similar stuff to Dam Busters in it. In fact, they do the trench run scene in this as well. Okay, just like in Star Wars, which is lifted from Dam Busters, yada yada yada. Okay, but they actually go down a canyon to blow up a missile base or something. Which again is in Top Gun Maverick. They have the same trench run scene, okay, and that will tie in with this as well, okay, especially with the 7/3 stuff because Tom Cruise's birthday is 7/3. So actually, let's drop back to this. I'll show you what this is. So not only is that in there, the elevation is interesting. 913 meters, 0.1 meters, okay, which also at this base is stationed this. I guess there as well. The I don't know if I understand it correct, is part of, so the 391st Fighter Squadron is part of the 366. Okay, now this is really interesting to do with Donald Trump and to do with today's day. It ties in so many different ways, and to do with shooting missiles and what this looks like as a dart. So we're going to come on to the dart board in a minute because of today's date and how it all ties back in with the dollar bill as well. Anyway, this also ties in. We'll see this number in just a second. But down here, there was another. They had another accident here. Where the hell is it? This Thunderbirds crash here, which happened on the 14th of September 2003. There was something interesting about the guy, the split S maneuver or something, and I feel like Strickland, yeah, Strickland, the guy that was, well, anyway, somebody who was involved in this was a name called Strickland, yeah, and if you remember in Back to the Future, the principal's name is Strickland, okay. Now, I just happened to watch another breakdown of the accident, the two jets crashing, and the guy that they had a nickname called Sticky that was doing he was another fighter pilot, and he was also, his last name was, I believe, something similar to this as well, like Strickland or Strickland. I don't know if it was this same guy. I think it was a different guy, but it was probably just made up anyway. But what the reference is that this connection back to the Future with Strickland, okay, and Strickland is actually the one that dies in Back to the Future 3. So we have all these gunshots going off, and people, with Marty and Doc both getting shot at but not dying. Strickland is actually removed from the film and actually dies in it. So I just thought, and he just recently died, passed away as well, James Tolkien. We talked about it. I can't remember. I don't know if there was anything that matched in with all this stuff. But so that whole thing took place on 914. 914 was also connected in with this. Okay, so we had the 914, 915. Okay, Dan, you're just clicking on off to make stuff work. Okay, what I did is I went from that 914 crash to this crash, and it was 8281. Okay, now this is interesting because it's what? It's 91 squared, the 91st. Now remember, 91, this is actually where is the flip over point, this is the same as 9/11 in the Fibonacci sequence, or cycle, sorry. So the Fibonacci cycle, 9/1 is that flip over place, the next number on is another 1, and then it goes 2, 3, etc. Okay, so 9/1 is a reset point, and it's to do with 9/11. Okay, hence why it's C19, hence why everything has a bloody 19 in it, right? Somewhere along the lines, right? So that was also interesting. Just coincidentally, the day of that crash, May 17th, is the 137th day of the year. Donald Trump's ear wound on 13/7. This is also the twin date for Madonna's birthday, so we can tie Madonna back into this crud as well if we really wanted to, but we're not going to today. But yeah, this is the twin date for Madonna's birthday. Very interesting again. Just before we get off this 633 Squadron stuff, and I'll go back to it later. I'll show you the scene in Back to the Future in a minute. But this is referenced in Back to the Future. So this is the inversion of the squadron that is at Mountain Home, okay, which is 366, and this is 633, okay. What else do we have here? So what I did is I also did 9/11 through to the actual first little incident that was re-referenced with the Thunderbird stuff there. 733 days, 7-3, just like what we had in War Games there with the 3377 stuff. 37 stuff. Now, don't forget, this is also what was tying in with Piers Brosnan to the 16th of May. Okay, that we were tying in with the 19th of May. The 7-3 stuff was Piers Brosnan was 73. Okay, on that particular day, which was all to do with the White Wedding. What happens at the White Wedding? This is the first time the two bodies come together. Supposed to be is at the White Wedding. The joining of two becoming one, and then of course from that you will have an offspring. So this thing with the Hoover Dam that I'm going on about is like a coming of age ritual, the birth, 20 whatever years later, yeah, a coming of age ritual, but it's all still tied to the White Wedding, right? So I thought, well, you know what I'll do is I'll just run out where that scene starts in War Games with the 3377 on the scoreboard. I'll run it out from 9/11 and just see where it lands. And coincidentally, it runs out to the 10th of December 2010, this is an interesting number because of, again, what are we talking about? 1 2 1 2 1, 2 becoming 1. Okay, so this is an interesting number for it to pop out on, you know, with the 3-7, and 3-7 is a really important reference. I'll show you this in a minute as well, because 3-7 is the only number that actually references back on itself in the old chart of Lorraine that I show. But I'll try and remember to show you that in just a minute. But this is interesting. Look, coming out on this 1-to-1 palindromic numerology here, right? So I thought, well, I better check see if anything interesting was on that date. There's no doubt there will be. And so, yeah, there's, you know, interesting stuff, you know, famous weddings. I guess I could probably go to her and she might be something interesting, Martina Hingis. But this is what stuck out to me. Mackenzie Miller, horse trainer. I'm like, oh, this has got to be connected in with this because of all this stuff with the Triple Crown, with A View to a Kill. I'll show you some other stuff that connects back in with this and connects back to the hoverboard scene and Back to the Future and A View to a Kill. This was, you know, we were so tied in with A View to a Kill, even with Gallagher, even with their Don't Look Back in Anger has a reference to A View to a Kill. Okay, so anyway, I'm like, I gotta look this guy up, especially as the last names, it's the Mac and the Mac, the Ken and the Miller in there. I've gotta look this guy up, right? Okay, sure enough, died on the correct date because sometimes dates don't match up on these things. But he is a horse trainer, and when you scan down through all his wins, Kentucky Derby. I'm like, okay, the 93 Kentucky Derby winner. We've got to look at this, right? So the 93 Kentucky Derby winner with his horse, which is, I've got it right in here. This is actually the Kentucky Derby page on Wikipedia. Which was 1993, happened to be on May Day. This is the first thing. And the horse's name, where do I have it in here? The horse's name is, well, it's at the top of here. It's called Sea Hero. Okay, we'll scroll back up in just a second. Of course, this year they're not. Then the horse that won was Napoleon Solo, and I think it was Quicken that gave me. Thank you very much. Told me the reference to Napoleon Solo being the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Okay, the name comes from the Man from U.N.C.L.E. We also connected it back in with A View to a Kill because there was some Napoleon connections in there, and also in A View to a Kill there's also Jenny Flex is the character that plays alongside Han Solo in The Last Crusade. Okay, so she ties again another 713 reference with Donald Trump's ear wound in with Han Solo in The Last Crusade, back in with A View to a Kill, and also with Pierce Brosnan. She's played alongside Pierce Brosnan as well, which you might say, well, many actors play alongside each other somewhere along the lines. Well, yeah, they do, but it's just interesting that there happened to be that connection there. Okay. Anyway, this is just interesting with the Mayday connection with all that. And you'll notice that for the Triple Crown, this horse didn't go on to do. It came 5th in Preakness, okay, and then came 7th at Belmont. So that's your Triple Crown stuff there. So it's 157 is the finishing line, is the finishing positions for that horse, and this whole event here with the mating ritual, the eagle mating ritual was on 157 or numerology, the 17th of May. So already little things just tying back in on themselves, pretty interesting. But this horse, let's just go up here, right? So this horse that Miller trained, right, happened to pass away on July the 12th, 2019. I'm like, oh, that's well interesting. That's just one day off of Donald Trump's ear wound and a date. Anyway, I scrolled down a little bit further and I made his racing debut on July 13th. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, so I got to run some numbers now for this horse, and I didn't run a whole bunch. I just ran a couple. What we've got going on here? Don't tell me all this has disappeared. Yes, it has already. Too many tabs up. This computer can't deal with it. But let us run from let's do these number jumps, right? So let's do the 13th of July. Actually, I want to do the birthday of the horse, right? So let's do this first. Let's do July the 12th, 2019. Okay, so let's run that first. July the 12th, sorry, 2019. Oops. And so through to this date, 2505. Okay, so this is this deadline that Donald Trump mentions for the correspondence. They're going to do that correspondence dinner event, 30 days. They're going to replay that event, bigger and better, is what Donald Trump said. Now, obviously, for the layman, they're talking about the redoing the dinner. For like what the connection I was making was, they're going to redo the event of Donald Trump getting shot again, bigger and better. Okay, the fake assassination attempt again. That's that end date for that. This is this 255, which is connected with the quarter. Okay, that was to that date. And let's run it to the 17th. Now, this is what's really interesting. When you run that date through to the 17th, this is on the dollar bill. And would I explain it now and then remember to come back to this stuff with the horse? I can't remember. Let's also, just before we do that, let's run the horse's debut, which was 713. I can't remember what it was. I feel like it was 92. Where was it? 92. Run that out real quick as well, and we'll see what that does. Okay. I can't remember. Actually, I might not have even done that. I didn't even do this number jump. I can't remember what I did then for. I might have run the debut to the. Trying to think about what I. Maybe I did the debut to its win, or maybe I did. So annoying when the number jumps drop out of here. I think maybe I did this. Actually, let's see. 2019 through to Donald Trump's ear wound. Sorry. What am I doing? Hang on a minute. I got to think about this for a second because I can't remember what number jump I did. 71392. Let's just do this. 71392. Let's just change this to Donald Trump's ear wound a minute. 713 here. 168. That is very interesting because again that's Madonna's numbers. That's golden ratio numbers. 168. Oh dear. Okay. That wasn't the number I was thinking of either. There was another number jumping here. I guess I'll probably just put it in the comments afterwards. But anyway, let's do this, right? Let's do this from that horse's now I can't even remember what that was. 7/12/2019. 7/12/2019. The death. So from the horse's death. Let me also just do this real quick. 7/12/2019. 7/12/2019. Okay, yeah, this was the other number. Okay, this is important. I knew there was something. 7/12/2019 through to the ear wound. 1828. Now go back to the start of this, where we looked at the in between the Thunderbird crash and this other crash, 8281. Okay, and that was the 91st or 91 squared. Okay, and then we look at this from the death of that horse to the ear shot. It's just a reverse number. I thought that was really worth mentioning, except I forgot about. I couldn't remember it without going back through all that nonsense. But anyway, let's do this now. 2501, right? So in the dollar bill, which I've got up, let me explain this with this whole thing with them flipping, because what they've done on the quarter in 2022, they flipped the way that Washington's head is, right? So let me explain this. The dam fold in the dollar bill, which was part of the heart shot, okay? Because the little owl, I showed you this, was we had this shooting from the one, because this up here, I really need to move this out of the way, is the bulletproof vest, and the one shot through down here to the heart right here, and this set of numbers here is 59. Okay, so we had 159 or 195 or whatever numerology you want there, but we were looking at the 19th of May for this to happen. Okay, but this is also connected into the way we had this set up. It was also connecting into Donald Trump's ear wound, which is actually a line that's drawn across here through two fold markers, and you put the ear in. And so these two things were joined together, the dam and the ear shot. And actually Matthew Broderick mentions dam when he gets shot in the heart on that game in War Games, okay? So there is a heart reference. So the heart is the dam getting blown apart, right? Because if you look at, sometimes you'll see this, especially on the penny, is a shield drawn like that, which again, the shield itself is a heart reference. If I just draw it up here, okay, and instead of doing the crown like this, okay, you do it like this, okay, and that now becomes this, the heart, okay. Oh dear, I know it's very convoluted, but it's just an inversion. This top with the crown is just an inversion. It's just a heart shape, basically, is the connection to the face of the dam. Okay, so this getting shot in the heart is another reference to the dam being destroyed. Okay, get rid of a little bit of this, right? Anyway, when you come across here, there is this dam reference, and there is another set of numbers that ties into this, and it's to do with these pieces down here of the dollar bill. Now you can see that this looks like a picture frame here, and Washington, the first, yeah, the first president, like the main founder, you could call him like he's the main guy, the numero uno, right? This is why he's on the dollar bill. So number one, this is a picture frame, portrait frame, right here with the number one in it. This is this, okay? Now, if you look at this portrait frame and just look at the side of it here, this is what this is here. This is a side-on portrait of Washington. And that, if I draw it in, ooh, this is his side-on portrait, not very good, but that's his face and his nose sticking out. He's looking this way on the quarter. This is a reference to 25 here. So you have, at the bottom of here, you have 25251 referenced. Now what is interesting about on the other side of the quarter, remember what I said, if you flip it over, you have, this is what you have. You have the eagle, okay, going down like this, just like those planes were going down head first, tails up, or part of the time they were anyway, but they're going down like this, okay. And we may go back to that, and I'll show you I can't remember what I've done now in this, to be quite honest. I'll show you a few more I will recap over some of that. But so the eagles are heading down in the mating ritual, in the white wedding, joined together to become one. So the other thing about this, so this is on the other side of this, but the other thing about the quarter right now is they have reversed Washington's head. It is now, the nose is now sticking out this way. Well, it's not very good, but he's now looking this way on the quarter. Okay, so if we just flip these numbers around, we now get 5, 2, and we take the 1 from there. So it's now 5/21, today's date, on the dollar bill. Pretty darned interesting, okay, for this whole thing with flipping the quarter and what is going on in that scene with that crash. The scene in War Games, it's just insane. Okay, let me show you something else as well. I had in here, which is also blooming disappeared, I think. Maybe it's further on. No, it's here. It's still there. Let's hope it stays. Okay, it did stay. From the Hoover Dam to Donald Trump's birthday is 3910 days. Now remember what was there at this Air Force base, yeah, 391, the tigers. Okay, a lot of tiger references, always lots of tiger references. Obviously tigers are 5'9" in itself with the gematria, but again 391 tying in with Donald Trump to the Hoover Dam. Okay, 391. Okay, so that is fairly interesting. And the other thing that's interesting about this whole number jump here, that was in between the two crashes at that place, right, is the 8282. Now remember when Donald Trump did the podium stuff, he had the 2288 text stuff, text Donald Trump on that. Okay, so 82 is pretty important. 82 is the end and beginning of Lucas numbers, and everything to do with the 250th anniversary and even the birthday of the United States is all to do with Lucas numbers. So 8282 is again, it's like the 91, it's a stop and start point. Okay, so if we look at something with Donald Trump in 8282, this is getting a bit out there now, but this is Donald Trump's birthday through to 9/4 in 2028. It's 82 years, 82 days. He'll be 30,033 days old. Okay, 333, nice resurrection stuff. But what's more interesting about this number here, this date is encoded on the dollar bill, and it's a number jump that goes from 55 on the dollar bill through to 49. Okay, and this is also encoded in Back to the Future. 9/4 is encoded in Back to the Future in the fire trails. I've shown that before. And also, this is Labor Day, the birth of something. You know, so another nice date that would tie in with the Hoover Dam. But yeah, this is 122 days from 5/5, and that specific number jump all ties into what I was just talking about with the dam and how the dollar bill folds up. It concertinas down. I'm not going to explain it right now. If something happens, we'll do a deeper dive on it. Probably nothing's going to happen, so we probably won't even be talking about it again for a while. But it is in the archive. If you look back through some of the old videos there, it is in there. We've got some other interesting little connections here. Let me show you with 521 today. It's at the top of the dartboard. Remember, those jets look like darts. Remember, the dartboard, very similar connections with the Space Needle, okay, and the three darts, the three legs that hold the Space Needle up. And no doubt, this again, 521 that's at the top here, look what's at the bottom. Yes, it's 193 at the bottom, and look what it's next to, 713. So this is opposite in the dartboard. Donald Trump's ear wound stuff tying in with 193 stuff as well. Okay, numerology, which we were just looking at. Okay, no doubt as well this ties in with JL's date, which is if you put the perfect cross in here, okay, straight up and down. Now remember, 203 is 7 times 29, so there's a hidden white wedding in here as well. 11/6 is crossing this, okay, 6/11, and I've had several 6/11 things show up with the 519 stuff. I've got one of them in here. I'll show you again, but so this 6/11 stuff. I believe the World Cup is starting that day. That just may be the ritual for that day is the starting of the Football World Cup, because football is again another reference to the physical and the metaphysical, 9/11 stuff. Okay, what was this? This was Donald Trump's ear wound through to today's day, 677, 123, start over numbers. Okay, this is pretty ominous as well. This was the golf course through to today, 613. Hang on a minute, what would I just have there? Did I just say 613? Oh well, anyway, whatever. I'm going mad. 613. Again, that rotates for the 319. This is a dollar bill reference. This is the snake. Remember, Donald Trump says you knew I was a snake. This is the serpent head version of that number, which is in an old silver certificate dollar bill, and it ties right back in with the owl flipping over with the serpent and becoming wise. But this number, yeah, is in a dollar bill, and this is also a reflection of pi. Yeah, so if you just do this and then you do this, okay, this is pi. I know that it's round the wrong way. The 3 is kind of screwing it up there, but when you rotate it and then reflect it again, it becomes pi. Okay, so that's really interesting as well. And I'll actually show you in the chart of Lorraine to do with this. Is I've got it marked. Here it is. It's the 13th Lucas number. Okay, and the 13th, and of course Lucas number starts with 213, and also the number 2, 13, is a cross reference for this particular number right here. Okay. I don't want to spend too much time on here, but again, 139 is a really, 139 numerology, as you can see there. It's a total for the 7 column, which is all about balance, which has our 29 white wedding reference in it. 13 is right there. And again, 59, which we were just looking at, which ties into the heart shot in the dollar bill, is also a 139 reference as well. Okay, and you can tie that in with like Tupac and just all kinds of stuff and tie everything together. It's not difficult to tie all of this stuff together with various references. Oh, and by the way, 37 reference I was talking about comes out at 37. Okay, so it's the only number in this chart I think that does that. It cross-references itself, which is pretty important. And look where 37 is. Okay, and we had a lot of stuff with 53 as well that was referenced recently. Okay, what else do I got in here? That was interesting. Also, you can click on the end date, and now what have we got? We got Donald Trump's birthday. Okay, so this is pretty interesting as well, because I thought this would be I thought he'd get shot on the 19th, and this would be a resurrection day. Come out of hospital on the 21st, didn't happen. This day was so important because he re-referenced this with his golden statue at the golf course. Okay, so it was re-referencing the golf attempt on him. Okay, what else do I have? That whole thing through to 519 was 611 as well. I want to remind people of that. We've done the Eagles coming down, which also looks like a jumper. This whole thing looks like the jumper at 911. Okay, and there's the jumper in this whole scene that was to do with 519, and this is 911 as well in iPet Go, and have the jumper there. And then of course in here these two are coming down, looking like the jumper. You put the head here, here's the arms, the wingsuit on, the 2 legs are on fire, and this is the jumper coming off the building, 9/11 style. Okay. Also, a couple of other things. Just getting towards the end of this now. Belmont Stakes coming up on 6/6. This is the 3rd part of the Triple Crown that's not happening, but it's the 158th running, which again ties us back in with 159. I'm not going to explain it. This was our 30 days jump on from the correspondence dinner, just to show you 525 with the flipping of the quarter. This is pretty interesting. So this is another potential date coming up, as is today's date for another bogus shooting. What else have I got in here? Here is the quarter the other way around. Okay. We've kind of covered everything in here about this and the 521 reference, because this is on the dam fold here. And then I think the last thing I want to finish off, let's just go to Back to the Future. So we were just doing A View to a Kill. This is the opening scene from A View to a Kill, and they have these colors that they reference all the way through this. Okay, and in Back to the Future 3, when they crash through the window, the colors are very similar. Okay, that they use in the background here. Okay, this is like the fighter jet scene and the reflecting pool. Yeah, like at the Washington Monument here. The Donald Trump is getting fixed at the minute. He's fixing this at the minute. The reflecting pool. This is Lake Mead in front of the Hoover Dam. The 4 pillars, the 4 inlet towers at the Hoover Dam. This is crashing through the metaphysical gateway, being reborn again. Marty Dunks is baptized here, is reborn again. But in this scene, so you have this rocket connection with this is like the trench run right here, going down the valley between the rocks, yeah, albeit they're not very high. But also in this scene, let me just show you this and we'll end it, is this bit where Griff takes a swing at Marty, and here is the 633 Squadron reference. So it's all stuff we've talked about before, and in this whole thing, Diana and Washington are referenced several times together in the newspaper clipping and everything else, okay? And in cafes. So I'm going to leave it there. We get them ready at some point for the two to become one again, and this thing. And just listen to what Matthew says here. And he was also, they also wanted him to play Marty. Okay, I just cut it off, but let's just listen to that again. Listen to what he says, and I'll turn it up a bit. But they wanted him to play Marty McFly. Damn. Okay, ties us right back into the dollar bill. I'm leaving it there. Okay, that's it. Game over. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Right, bye.